so excited to be with
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a light room this morning, and I don't mean from the sunshine. I mean there's not very many people here today. It's strange. Can you hear me okay, or should I? Okay. And good morning, guests on Zoom. We have any visiting Rotarians today? I didn't see anybody come in. Okay. Technically, Rotary Act, are you still in, or have you completely aged out, Kenneth? Aged out. Okay, so we'll get you as a guest, and Kenneth is interested in joining our club, so I've invited him to come and have breakfast with us. Hopefully we don't scare him away. He's got a good company there. I see we have Holly back over here, and thank you for returning. Thanks. Yes, at this time, I know we have a new member, and we're going to get to that right now, actually. AJ and Melinda, would you like to conduct our newest member? Sorry to interrupt your breakfast. Yep. Okay. It's all about you.
Fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege and pleasure today to conduct this induction ceremony to bring a new member to the club. Sarah Hiller was proposed for membership by Melinda Hinton. Her proposal has been reviewed by the membership committee in accordance with our club constitution and bylaws. Her name has been circulated, and her application for membership has been approved. Rotary is defined as a volunteer organization of business professional leaders united worldwide to provide humanitarian service and help build goodwill and peace. Club members meet weekly to plan service projects, discuss community and international issues, and enjoy fellowship. Clubs are non-religious, non-political, and open to individuals' diverse backgrounds. Rotary encourages high ethical standards in all vocations while striving to live and work by the four-way test. Let's try it again.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Sarah, we now proceed to admit you into membership in Rotary Club of Arcata Center. Sarah, we welcome you back to the friendship of Rotary throughout the world. Something I learned in the membership meeting was she was formerly part of the Noon Club. So, welcome back.
Thank you.
The ideal of Rotary is service, which is why our motto is service above self, and the object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. You are to share in this effort. So you've been approved for membership in the club because we believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation, are interested in the ideals of Rotary, and are willing to do your share in translating these ideals to action. You've agreed to accept the obligations of membership in this club as people of action and to obey our club's constitution and bylaws. So now I have the pleasure of asking your sponsor to pin on your membership kit the emblem of the Rotary wheel, which we hope you will wear with pride of being a Rotarian, but also with humility of service.
She can get it opened up.
You sure? Last chance.
It's like a tennis.
Is this the welcome? Beautiful.
At this time, I'd like to present you with your red badge, the symbol of a new club member. As a new member, there's a path you will follow as you achieve your blue badge status, and I know you will achieve this in a timely manner. This new member packet contains information for you about our Rotary Club and about Rotary International. You'll have many questions in the coming weeks, and I encourage you to seek the answers from your sponsor, your mentor, Terry, members of the membership committee, and the club president, or the entire club. It's my pleasure on behalf of the board of directors and the entire club membership to welcome you to the Rotary Club of Arcata Center. Newest club member of the world, Sarah Hiller. Tradition, please come up to.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. And I'll reach out to you. Yes, thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
If you don't know who English are, we're all matched up.
That's all right. So thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Heather. Yay,
Thank you so
we're glad
much.
you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good.
Presidents always worry in July because they come to the meeting, there's almost nobody there. It's happened ever since 1992, so don't feel like it's not you. It isn't you. I mean, every president has ever done that. Like, they come to their first meeting, there's like 10 people out there, and they go, crap, what did I do, you know? That's just July.
Okay. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you. Welcome. We're happy to have you with us. Okay, up next we have some repeats on save the dates. And did Carol arrive? I don't see Carol yet. Anyhow,
I'm here on Zoom.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Carol. Would you like to take a couple moments and tell us what's happening with tide pooling with Carol?
All right. Sorry, everybody, that I couldn't make that in person. But if you are an early bird, this Sunday morning, if you get up early, like we all are here at 7 a.m. at the harbor in Trinidad, I'll be leading a tide pool exploration for all abilities. If you're not the type who want to crawl over all the slippery rocks, the harbor is an awesome place to be able to take in the tide pool creatures. And that's part of my work with the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust, which I do education and people to the environment. And it's an extremely low tide that morning, and we have room. If you want to come, you could send me a text. You could call the office, because we try to limit it to keep it to small groups. But it starts at 7 a.m. this Sunday morning at the harbor. So I'd love to see.
Carol, I understand this is a relatively accessible
It is.
tide pooling.
It's not strictly ADA accessible. Karen will talk to you about that. But we do have access to a beach wheelchair. And if you go down in front of the seascape, it's a pretty easy slope. There's a couple little rocky parts, but we've had great success with the wheelchair, and people who are, mobility limited can still enjoy checking out the tide pool creatures. So we're trying to make this one an easy tide pool walk, and it's really fun. It's a beautiful place. One year we saw an octopus and some pretty cool creatures. So just send me a text, an email, and I'll put you on the list.
Perfect. Thank you, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I know we all got an email about your pizza party. Do you have any additional details?
Just come on, you can learn how to make your own pizzas, we'll make it for you or whatever. And we're gonna have a tiki bar out there, and my son's gonna make snacks if anybody wants to pack up. And have some fun in the backyard. Hopefully, nice day. Join us at 4 o'clock on Saturday the 31st.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
Please RSVP to Romy if you anticipate being there. No RSVP, no dough. You just need to know how much dough to make, please. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Stephanie, would you come on up? I know there's a few things you wanted to say about our upcoming first fundraiser of our Rotary year.
Can I take this down at the end?
Yep.
Okay. So the Sunrise Summer Sale, we know the 14th and 15th. Most likely the weekend before, we're going to coordinate dropping everything off at Maggie's house. So we'll give you those exact details on when the drop-off time is. So you all, just like last week, go rummage through those closets and those garage and find great stuff. If you have large things and you want to sell them on Craigslist or you want to sell them on Facebook and then donate the money to the Sunrise Summer Sale, that's always nice, because then you don't have to move it twice, right? From your house to the sale and to someone else's house. So if you don't think that you want to hold on for your stuff for a couple of weeks, you could always sell it online and then donate it to the Sunrise Summer Sale. So Ruby?
Thank you. And you wanted emails to preview things that might be available for the sale, is that right?
Yeah, you can send us the email, let us know what you're thinking about bringing so we know we have enough stuff to sell.
Thank you for putting that together. You and Claire are doing a great job. AJ, was it you that sent out something about our golf tournament, our summer scramble?
So we had a meeting again yesterday, and things are moving along. We're finding some vendors for some of the spots along the golf tournament. So gonna create some themes, I think, in 3 little camp spots where we have a good mix of food and drink and some games. But from the club, if you haven't sent us the $25, that'll help us with the cash prize and to help us with the bar prize. That would be great if you could Venmo or send a check. And then I just sent out a sign-up genus. It's a really generic sign-up genus. We're trying to assess how many volunteers we're going to get from the club, because it's going to be important for some of the games that we have set up, that we have people be able to take the bet and then rate the bet at the very end of the hole. That just helps with an efficient game process and help us with tabulating the entries into our grand prizes. So if you haven't seen the sign-up units, you can take a look, and if you're free that day, great to see you out there. And if you have any questions, reach out to Melinda or I. And yeah, thank you.
Are we still looking for full sponsors?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So reach out to the folks you know in our community, and AJ and Melinda, do you have some information you can send for what the ask is?
Yes.
Yeah. I will actually, I think, Barbara's gonna be sending out some stuff too. We're just editing the poster from last year, just a few things, trying to get just updated information on that. Once we confirm the prizes and everything. So that should be coming around by next week, and then it kind of has all the information, but I'll put additional, so Barbara and Maggie for PR can get that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Friends on Zoom, there's more information on that coming soon.
Yeah.
And speaking of friends on Zoom, I've just been told that we have a guest from France. Thomas, are you there? And can you unmute and say hi for just a second?
We have 17 people online, but just so you know.
Where's Thomas? There you are, Thomas. I can't see on video. Are you able to say hi? We can't quite hear you. Maybe he stepped away for breakfast, seeing all of us eating. Okay, carrying on then. Yes, please help me out here.
Nara's here. Hello, Nara.
Hi, Nara. Thanks for joining us again. We're happy to see you every week.
Our guest speaker.
Well, there's Karen.
Karen Clower is there.
Hi, Karen. We'll do a formal introduction. Karen will be our presenter today from Accessibility. She's the ADA coordinator for Humboldt, and we look forward to hearing from you later in the meeting. Yeah, okay.
I'll let you know when you come back here.
Thank you. Okay, I wanted to talk today about a little bit about fellowship outside the club. You know, we all obviously join in part Rotary to connect with people in our communities, and you know, through youth exchange or other opportunities in Rotary, there's many ways that we can connect beyond our club and beyond our local community with people that share our interests, or maybe have interests that we are interested in learning more about. And so Rotary currently has on the My Rotary website about almost 100 different sorts of fellowships. And I know you can't read all those from where you are, but there are pretty much interests that may spark a little curiosity in just about anybody. And the cool thing about the Rotary Fellowships is that if there's not one you're interested in, there's full instructions on how to create your own. And so this morning, I wanted to invite a couple of our club members who are involved with Rotary Fellowships outside the club to talk about that. First up, we have Maggie, and I think we may see a lot of interest in this one. Do you want to come on up, Maggie?
Yes, hi. I joined the Whiskey Fellowship. I know nothing about whiskey, but it's an alcoholic beverage, so I thought I would check it out. And I went to the first meeting during the convention, and they had about, I don't know, maybe 100 people online from all over the world. Everyone was drinking whiskey, and they would introduce themselves and tell us what they were drinking. And people in Australia, it might have been 8 o'clock in the morning, but everyone was doing it. And it just seemed really fun, learn a lot about different whiskeys. And I think we could start a local group if we want. They encourage you to meet 4 times a year at least and do like whiskey tastings. Also, if we want to do a fundraiser, we can raffle off whiskey and raise money. So it just is interesting because whiskey is such a big thing. I mean, there's so many types of whiskey that you could never finish this club. You could never be done with it. So I have my pin and I realized I put it on this outfit so you cannot possibly see it. But
It looks just like the
yeah, it does. It looks just like that. And it's, I think it's 45 a year or 35 a year or 100 for a lifetime membership. So anyway, if anyone wants more information, they can go and check it out. If anyone wants to join and start a local branch here, let me know. We can do that, and that would be kind of fun. So thank you.
What whiskey were you drinking?
Well, I was there without whiskey because I was listening to everybody, and then when they were done, I went and bought 2 different bottles of whiskey because you're supposed to like compare, and then I realized I'm supposed to have 3 bottles of whiskey to compare, and they're all supposed to be the same. They're supposed to be the same type. So I ended up having like 4 bottles of whiskey that I was tasting evenly, which meant when they were empty, they were all empty at the same time, which meant I was putting like all these empty bottles of whiskey into my recycling. So I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm learning.
So I understand this is a good way to find a friend to have a drink with pretty much anywhere in the world.
That's right. Yeah, you
Okay.
could go anywhere in the world and find somebody in this club who is willing to show you the best whiskey that they know in their country. So it's kind of fun. Thanks.
Thank you, Maggie. Next, we have Carrie, maybe a little rambunctious, I guess, or maybe not so. Never been to a quilting party. Okay. Is there drinking involved?
So the quilting, it started off as just the quilting fellowship. I brought show and tell. And my trusty assistant here. So the quilting fellowship started off as just quilting, and then the knitters and the crocheters and the other fabric artists got kind of peevish, and so now it's a broader thing. Every year when there's a real convention, international convention, the quilters will have a booth and they will sell items that we've made to benefit the Rotary Foundation. Now we're meeting on Zoom, and it is fun because it's from all over the world. Even though quilting, it's kind of an American thing, but the English people will say it started there, but whatever. So it's really fun, and it's interesting to see what people do. I learned to quilt in 1978, and I brought the very first quilt I ever made. So in those days, the hobby, the pastime was technologically challenged. We traced the pattern onto cardboard pieces and then traced each cardboard piece onto fabric and cut them out individually. I did hand quilt it. The other thing about it is that fabrics weren't as really great fabrics weren't as readily available. So part of this is polyester cotton, but you know, it's old and it's held up pretty well. And so I'm happy. And just as quilting technology has gotten better, so have my skills. So this was one I made at the very first Linda Ballard quilting retreat I ever went to. It was a mystery retreat. And what that means is we got the instructions of what kinds of fabric, what colors we're gonna go with, what colors, how much to buy depending on what size we wanted. But we didn't know what the quilt was going to look like until we got there and we're already started. So the important part for me on that is just to buy fabric that I like, and then whatever it turns out to be, I like it, whether the pattern is really, you know, super cool or not. Last year during COVID, I made 26 quilts. Well, what else was there to do? And for those of you who have been to my house, you know, you'll believe me when I tell you that I almost bought no fabric in 2020. I just pulled it from my considerable, beautiful stash. And it makes me happy. It's a happy place. Yes, it's a happy place. It's a happy place. So anyway, the fellowship is great. I urge you to check out all the different fellowships. Marty's in the surfing fellowship. He's a charter member of it was a new one that he helped get started. And it's just a way to connect. And especially now when everything's happening virtually anyway, if you're not going to go to an international convention, you can get together with the other like-minded folks. So it's fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I will, yeah. When we're done with this part, I will share out the website. Go ahead, Terry. I'm sorry, Maggie. Tamal, you're back. Would you like to say hello for a moment, Tamal? No. Oh, there he is.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yay!
Yay! Well, I don't know if you can see me too. I have
Yes.
no idea.
We got you.
I can see my face, but it's all right. Well, I'm working.
How
on
are
it.
you, Tamal?
Well, I'm good. I'm off work today. I found a job. I'm a cook. I'm making food for people. It's very nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I also really miss California. I've seen there is an exchange student from last year that came in Arcata. I think it's Nina. She's here, I think.
She's visiting in.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really nice. Well, I'm pretty excited. I want to go back actually, but I don't know yet. But I will figure that out, I think.
Well, we're not going anywhere, so anytime.
Yeah, great.
Maggie and Claire tell me that you'd like to come back and talk about what's going on with your life at a
Yeah, I
future
can
meeting.
definitely do that. Yeah. Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, thanks for dropping in. It's good to see your face.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. And then, is there anybody else that's currently involved with a Rotary Fellowship that I'm not aware of? Thought I picked you up. Not yet. Okay, we're going to work on that. There's a couple I'm involved with, and they may seem contrasting. One is the Rotarian Metalhead Fellowship, and there's a little, and there is a tie-in between these two groups. There's a little bit of backstory there. When I was growing up, until I was 12 or 13, I had no radio access because we couldn't receive it out in Maple Creek, and my music was limited to what my parents listened to. So I grew up knowing the Moody Blues and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And then I think I was 13. I discovered in the back of the cabinet there were these tape things. You know, we used records, and there were some tapes back there, and one of them said Iron Butterfly. And I asked my dad, "What's this?" And he said, "Well, just play it." And I was like, "What is this?" And then he saw that I kind of liked it, so he brought out Black Sabbath and a few others from his era, and said, "Yeah, I did some photo shoots at some of these concerts, and I still have tinnitus." And so it was kind of a teen awakening, so to speak. And so I think Jeff is probably the only person in the room that ever saw my room at home in Maple Creek, kind of a shrine to Circus Magazine and all the whack, crazy outfits and guitars that everybody would have on stage. I think I had the whole walls plastered with photos of that. And so I've been into metal music for a long time. I like a lot of different variety of music, but one thing that I definitely appreciate with metal music is that if I've had a hard day, I can get to my car, turn on the radio, put some on, and I'm waiting along, and I'm good when I get home. So, and a lot of lot of metal music is actually very socially conscious and aware. Not all of it, but much of it is, and what I listen to. But the Rotary Metalhead Fellowship just had their first invite to host a part of the convention, which was pretty cool. And they support the Wacken Foundation, which is basically an open door to anybody who's in music and feels like they're not getting that break to get in the door for metal music, because it's kind of pushed aside as, oh, that's not serious music. So that's how I became interested in that particular fellowship. And the tie-in to the other fellowship I'm involved with, which is actually my favorite pin, is the LGBT plus fellowship, is that in 1998 on MTV, one of my favorite rockers, Rob Halford, came out as gay on MTV. And when he talked about it, he talked about the astounding relief he felt at just being free of that secret. And the reason that I found and joined this fellowship is that it occurred to me that that's not that long ago, what, 23 years or so, that somebody felt that they had to hide who they were. And more recently with my own kids, one of whom is non-binary and the other is trans-masc. And it was still, even just last year, hard for them to come to me and say, Dad, this is who I am. And it just hit me that it shouldn't be hard. They know me, they know that I'm somebody they can trust, and yet it was still hard for them to come to their family and say something. So the LGBT plus fellowship encourages within Rotary us to make a welcoming space for everybody to feel comfortable being who they are. So that's why I'm involved in those two fellowships in particular. My presidential challenge for you is I'll share the website after the meeting. Go and find something that is of interest to you or that you're curious about and sign up. The dues are usually very low, although I think the highest one I found is actually the Rotarian Metalhead Fellowship. If you want to subscribe your whole family, it's $666. So we will be asking, everybody in the club will get a chance to talk about a fellowship they found throughout the rest of the year and into next year. And I encourage you all to reach out beyond the club and see what else Rotary has to offer. Thank you. Next up, we have Karen Clower. Excuse me, Karen. Charlie couldn't be here this morning to introduce you, so she sent me a little bit of information, so bear with me here. Karen has been a lifelong resident of Humboldt County and has dedicated her career to public service. And I think that's an important thing to pause on, in that our county and other government employees really, if they're in the right frame of mind like Karen, are public servants. They're here to serve us and the needs of the community. Karen's been employed with the County of Humboldt for 29 years, holding many positions, but currently she's the Deputy County Administrative Officer for the county's first certified ADA coordinator. When she's not at work, she spends her time volunteering for California Cancer Crusher as their board's chairperson and enjoying time with her family, and this time of year seeking the sun in Willow Creek. Karen, if you are there and can unmute, go ahead and take us away with your presentation.
All right, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. I do have my notes on my screen, so I can't see you all right now, but I'm impressed at the turnout at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's impressive. So this morning I will share with you some information about the ADA, some of what we have learned as the county, and leave you some time for question and answer. September of 2018, I received my ADA coordinator certification from the Great Plains ADA Center, but let me tell you why. September 7th of 2016, the county entered into a 3.5-year consent decree with the Department of Justice. I recall writing the agenda item for our board to sign the consent decree, At that time, I was a project manager for the county, and I kept thinking, boy, am I glad this is not my project. Months later, this became my project. I had a lot to learn. From the terminology, by the way, handicapped is not politically correct. ADA code, California Building Code, tools of the trade. If you know any trades people, the 2-foot level continues to be a hot topic. I have almost as many pictures of my family and friends on my phone as I do non-ADA compliant toilets, bathroom fixtures, parking stalls, and service counters now. So what is the ADA? The ADA is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life. Disability: to be protected by the ADA, one must have a disability which is defined by the ADA as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. There are 5 titles of the ADA. Title I is employment. So employers out there with 15 or more employees must comply with the ADA Title I. Title II is state and local governments, and that's where I am most familiar. All state and local government programs, services, and activities, policies, and practices must be in compliance with the ADA. And if there's any local government folks in the room, the ADA does require local governments with 50 or more employees to have an ADA coordinator. Title III of the ADA is public accommodations and in commercial facilities. This title sets the minimum standards for accessibility for alterations and new construction of facilities. It also requires public accommodations to remove barriers in existing buildings where it's easy to do so without much difficulty or expense, or readily achievable. The readily achievable is one of the major differences between Title III and Title II of the ADA. So with the consent decree, the county was required to remove specified barriers in 58 facilities, then all barriers to access in all county facilities that provided a program, service, or activity to the public. The consent decree required the county to provide our staff training on the ADA, but we took that a step further and provided training to local building officials, contractors, architects, and property owners. Of course, the county appointed an ADA coordinator. The county had to bring specified curb ramps into compliance with the ADA. We're still working on our curb ramp project, and we'll talk a little bit more about the barriers to our facilities. We had to evaluate all of our polling sites and all of our emergency sheltering sites for compliance with the ADA. We had to bring our website into compliance. The county did adopt a website accessibility policy, and we contract with a third-party vendor to ensure our website stays in compliance. We adopted an effective communication policy. We adopted a service animal policy. Service animals are dogs or miniature horses that are trained to perform a task for the benefit of someone with a disability. Yes, I said miniature horse. I've not seen one, but yes, a miniature horse is a service animal as well. And there's 2 questions that you can ask somebody entering your place of business or your local government agency, is if the service animal is required because of a disability. The answer is yes to that question. Then you can ask what the specific task is that that animal has been trained to perform. And that task should be something that helps this person with their disability. There's a wide range of tasks a dog can be trained to perform. And we have that policy. It is available online, as well as our effective communication policy and our website accessibility policy. So if you want more detailed descriptions, you can find it there, or you can email me or call me. What we discovered through the consent decree is that the nearest, when assessing our facilities, we had to go to the nearest bus stop. From that nearest bus stop to the entrance of the building, through some of the cities that took quite a bit of an assessment of parking areas, of sidewalks, curb ramps, and all of those reports have been provided to the cities and local jurisdictions, as well as the county. We discovered that parking stalls were not fully in compliance for a variety of reasons. Most of our parking stalls were not compliant because of the striping on asphalt had worn off, or the asphalt had settled, making it an uneven surface. So when we redo our parking stalls, we now do them with concrete instead of the asphalt. Doors, our doors must be under 5 pounds of pressure to open. We have a difficult time maintaining that pressure. So we either remove our door closers where we can, but you can't in a multi-user restroom, or we regularly adjust and test the closure or install automatic door openers. You'll notice that most of our storefronts have the automatic door openers now, because we just can't maintain that 5 pounds or less of pressure. Our bathrooms, most of our bathrooms are not ADA compliant. We're not ADA compliant at the time. We've done a lot of remodeling to restrooms. One of the big differences that we discovered between the ADA and the California Building Code was dispensers in restrooms. The California Building Code was more stringent than the ADA, requiring that the actuator or the device mechanism to operate had to be at 40 inches versus 48 inches. Other issues we see in restrooms are toilet center lines, grab bars not positioned correctly, and yes, we've even seen a towel rack used as a grab bar. Don't do that. Bathroom stalls, so the accessible bathroom stall wasn't wide enough. It didn't provide for a 5-foot turning radius. All of this, we look at different ways to solve these issues, determining whether we want to use a single user accessible restroom or multi-use restrooms and make the accessible stall fully compliant. Protruding objects, this is something that's easy to fix. Anything in a circulation path that's above 27 inches and below 80 inches that protrudes more than 4 inches is a protruding object. We see this on sidewalks where tree limbs are hanging down below 80 inches, easy to fix by trimming the tree. Fire extinguishers in buildings that are mounted with the leading edge, so the bottom of the dispenser is just above that 27-inch mark, easy to fix by lowering. And most recently, hand sanitizer dispensers, we see them everywhere now. If they're on a wall in a circulation path, typically they stick out more than 4 inches from the wall. So you'll notice, for example, in the courthouse, underneath our hand sanitizer dispensers, we have these like they're part of the wall now, but that creates a detectable warning for those dispensers. Reach ranges, a reach range is between 15 and 48 inches to the control point. So wherever you would grab your brochure or your magazine, needs to be within 15 to 48 inches. And we see this issue a lot on brochure racks. Fairly easy to remedy by making sure one of each brochure is within the reach range. Not all brochures have to be lined up together, but you need to make sure that at least one of them, one of each type, is within those reach ranges. The reach ranges become a little bit more difficult with drop boxes and things of that nature, but you can remedy those. Signs, we have probably replaced thousands of signs, and we continue to replace signs throughout our facilities. Our biggest barrier was the fact that the Braille on our sign was not spaced correctly. There is a requirement for the size and the spacing of Braille on signs. So we did have to go through and replace those. So where you need the tactile signs or the Braille and raised character signs is generally rooms that are identifying space. So your accessible restrooms, your office spaces. So if somebody is coming to your building to meet with you, they need to be able to identify that space. Signs that direct people to and from other permanent rooms or functional spaces, they're visual signs. They don't require the raised characters. Signs that direct to and from accessible features and elements. These also are visual signs, so they don't require the tactile or Braille characters, but they do direct people to accessible locations, and they have the symbol of accessibility on those signs. Those would be used to direct people from a non-ADA restroom to an ADA compliant restroom, or from drinking fountains to the accessible drinking fountains, things like that. Sometimes you'll find them on the exterior of a building, and that's directing people to the accessible entrance of the building. Other signs that are not required to comply with the ADA include temporary signage, directories. So in your lobby areas, your directories are not required to be fully ADA compliant, and menus in small restaurants are not required to be fully ADA compliant. Another area we see issues with a lot is clear floor space. We see these mainly at the doors, and we call a lot of our trash cans in restrooms floating trash cans, because they tend to move around the room and end up right at the door. So those, you need to have clear floor space of 18 inches on the pull side or 12 inches on the push side of the door. Another barrier we see with clear floor space is oversized furniture in office spaces. The problem with that is that it blocks a 5-foot diameter turning radius, or blocks the door from being able to open to a full 90 degrees. Drinking fountains is another barrier we've discovered, where we have plenty of drinking fountains in the building, but they were all mounted at the same height. So we don't have that high-low option. The county has chosen to replace the majority of its drinking fountains with the high-low combination and the hydration station. It's an added feature mainly for staff and the public coming into our buildings. The hydration stations are not a requirement, and they do not fully meet the ADA alone. You do have to have that high and low option. Our elevators, they weren't compliant either. We didn't have the silent call feature for somebody who couldn't speak if they were stuck in the elevator. We didn't have the audible sounds. So each time the elevator hits the floor, it should ding or say what floor it's on. Both of those have been remedied and were remedied right away. We had to look at our parks. The county has several parks, and what we have chosen to do is view our parks in their entirety to determine where our accessible parks would be. Clam Beach is one of our accessible parks. It has accessible restrooms, camping, and beach wheelchairs. Although what we discovered with our beach wheelchairs is that our sand is so fine and soft that in the soft sand, it was really hard to push the wheelchairs in the soft sand. So we are looking at a project to provide a beach wheelchair mat that will run from the parking lot at Clam Beach out to the high tide line, making it much easier for individuals with mobility disabilities to maneuver in the sand. Once you hit the hard pack, the wheelchair works fine on that. It's just the soft sand where we've seen the problem. And then, of course, Freshwater Park has our largest playground in all of our parks, in our park system. And that we modified the playground completely to make it an inclusive playground. So all the equipment on our playground is ADA compliant. And we've done improvements to our other parks as well and continue to do so. We've learned about ramps versus sloped walkways, 5% running slope versus an 8.3% running slope. And in one of our facilities, we like to call it the ski slope because we don't even know the running slope of that ramp. It is so steep. When our licensed architect came to evaluate that facility for ADA compliance, she just walked away and marked it not compliant. Luckily, we do have another entrance that is actually the accessible entrance to the building, but learning about ramps and sloped walkways was quite fascinating. We've done so much. We continue to work on our airports. We are now partnering with Redwood Community Energy Authority and the Shots Energy Group to provide electric vehicle charging stations at our main airport, and then create the accessible path of travel from those parking stalls to the entrance of the building. So we're pretty excited about that. It'll be the first charging stations that we put in as one of our projects. In closing, I am grateful to have had the opportunity to learn about the ADA and make improvements to our services that make our programs accessible to all. I have a great team of people that I get to work with every day that focuses on ADA compliance for the county. We're not done yet though. In June, the Board of Supervisors adopted the county's 20-year compliance plan. Just gonna say I'll be retired before we're done with that, but it is a move in the right direction to keep us focused on the importance of ADA in our county programs. And with that, I am glad if you're all still awake to answer any questions.
Thank you, Karen. That's great. And hopefully you didn't even see our technical difficulties. I've switched laptops. Can you hear me at this time?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. I have first question. What resources would you point people to help property owners make their facilities more accessible, even if it's not required?
The ADA has extensive amounts of information on the internet. We have links to different resources that I could provide anybody, but the Access Forward, the United States Access Forward, is a great resource for questions. The California State Department of Architects, the DSA, another very helpful place that we utilize all the time. And then most people don't know about the Pacific ADA Center. They are focused in San Francisco and the Oakland area, but they are our region's resource for ADA questions, and they provide a tremendous amount of training, and they're a great resource for property owners and any businesses too that have questions about the ADA.
Thank you. Any questions from the room? Howard?
Karen, could you suggest terminology that would be suitable to replace words such as handicap or disability?
In case you couldn't hear, Howard's asking, could you suggest words that are more suitable and appropriate to replace words that have been used in the past, such as handicapped or disabled?
So what I learned from the ADA is that using person first is the most proper way to address a person with disability. So instead of using the word handicap, it's person or persons with disabilities, person or persons with mobility disabilities, or person or wheelchair users. But using that person first is the most acceptable way. And using the word accessibility in place of handicapped is most appropriate.
Michael?
Along the same lines, on the ADA site, is there a vocab list that everybody can go to?
Is there a vocabulary list on the county ADA site?
Yeah, in our, it's in different locations. Most of our policies have some kind of a definitions list. I can certainly provide that to anybody who is interested in that. We provide it to our staff training, so it's more in our training materials, but we could certainly put that out there to our website. Or you can reach out to me at ada@co.humboldt.ca.us, or by calling our main office number, which is 707-445-7266. And anybody on the ADA team can help you with that.
We could put it on our website.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone on the Zoom side have any questions? Okay. Karen, I don't know if you can see this, but for our presenters, and it's especially appropriate for you today, we make a donation to the Wheelchair Foundation on behalf in your name, which provides wheelchairs for people that could not otherwise afford or have access to them. So thank you very much for presenting today. We appreciate the work you do, and appreciate you being here so early in the morning.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for making that donation.
Nick, are you ready for a raffle? Because I need some cover to switch laptops.
Yeah, we got the back of your head.
That's right.
I'm gonna get some gas, buddy. Mr. Howard, you can be on. First number is on the screen. Next one up.
And we're back.
473. All right, hey. All right, again. Oh, we got five. You got five more. There you go, boss.
Thank you. Nick, do you know what the pot is for next week?
$40.
$40. All right. Time every week. Real quick, we have a board update. Your board met and did quite a bit of work last Tuesday. Obviously, thank you very much for accepting and going along with our mask request for our meetings. We also decided to, sorry?
Thanks for keeping us safe.
We're trying. It's a weird world. And also we decided based on current attendance and sign-up trends, we're going to hold our catering commitment to 35 and the room to 40 until we see more demand for a few weeks. So keep signing up, please. Everybody who wants to attend in person, you're welcome. Please sign up. We also added funding for the Public Relations Committee. So Maggie and Barbara are chairing that up and have some great ideas. We met last night and talked over all the stuff that we're going to do, including rebranding our website finally. Club bylaws, the board has formed an ad hoc committee to review our bylaws specifically related to attendance. So that will be coming in December for club consideration, and we'll vote on it early next year. And then one of our longtime members, Linda Moore, had applied for what's called the Rule of 85. 20 years of service plus age equals 85 in Rotary. Removes any requirements for attendance. In practice, right now, our bylaws do not match what we do. So that's why we're, as a committee, looking at our bylaws related to attendance. But that was approved from Linda. So that's the board update real quick. And then close the meeting. I just had a thought for you regarding fellowship. So please do sign up for the fellowship opportunities that Rotary offers. And what are we counting? You're counting on me. Oh. Okay, Scott, I see you. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you joining from remote and in person. And we'll conclude our meeting. There's a little bit of social time if you like.